Okay, like I mentioned just now, for this lecture, this is a bit dry. We will look into the user interface for the search. So we will cover the search process, how people perform the search process, and then how do you specify the query, and then how do you design the interface for the query specification, and then how do we return the result. And then we will briefly look into the query reformulation. So query reformulation referring to when we key in the keyword and when we cannot find or there are some irrelevant document. So we tend to reformulate or change our keyword. And the next one is how do we organize the search result so that the user can understand or can read the result more efficiently. And then lastly is how do we visualize them. Okay. So at the end of the lecture, you will have like preliminary tasks. So what you need to do is I will put that one in the Smart version 3, and then you can submit your answer lah. Okay. So semua boleh dengar? Loud and clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So first we will look into the search process. So I think most of us know how to use the Google. How do we find certain information? Basically, last time we do not have, like, I can say that 20 years ago, we do not have like a proper search engine. And because of that, most of the information cannot be obtained easily. But nowadays, there are a lot of resources on the internet. Even solution for your homework also you can get from the internet. So most people, they try to reformulate their query by changing or modifying the query itself, changing the keyword or including more text or more keyword in order to hoping to get a better result. Okay. The strategy used depend on how much we know. So if you are expert in that area, you know what to type in a very specific keyword. But if you are just starting to know the subject, then you will start with a general keyword. When you use general keyword, then you will get less relevant document, in which when you have a broader topic, it will cover a lot more on the internet and you will not get a very specific document. So in the past 20 years, the search interface have been developed to support both query history and revisitation. So what is the main company that manipulate the search engine at the moment? Can someone name? What is the most common search engine? Google. Yang lain? Most common lah. In China, they do not have Google. So what search engine they do? They use Baidu. Kan? So Baidu is the search engine used in China. So China did not allow Google to come in because search engine is one of the way on how do you tap into people interest by keeping the keyword history that we key in. So based on that, we can build a profile on an individual, what they like, what they prefer for certain sport like politics, economy, or technology. So they can build a profile based on what we search from the internet. So studies also show that it is difficult for people to determine whether or not a document is relevant to the topic because different people will have different perspective, different level of knowledge, and at the same time also they will have different strengths and weaknesses. So that's why they said the more you read, the more you know that you don't know, because there are a lot of topics that we need to cover, and we realize that there are a lot more that we don't know. Okay, so the other study also found that searchers tend to look at only the top ranked retrieved result. So they assume that from the list, only the top written result are most important thing. Okay? They said they are biased towards thinking the top one or two results are better than those beneath them. But somehow it turned out to be true when we look for certain information. When we go to the next 10 result, it tend to be less relevant to our query. So for that reason, they said, why don't we build a system that can tell the degree of relevancy of the document with respect to the query. So they said, if we assign a computer to determine whether that document is relevant or not relevant to the query, it would be more standard, more consistent, because they use the same knowledge, the same background in order to reason which one or which set of documents are relevant with respect to the query. Okay? So they say that our background knowledge influence our search process. So expert and novice user will have different strategies. Those people who have more knowledge, they are more patient in finding the knowledge because they know that they know a bit. Then when they read something, then they understand what is the degree of relevancy of the document with respect to the query. Okay. So let's take a look at the query specification. Normally what we do, we just enter word into a search entry form, or we can select link from a directory given to us. So there are two ways on how do we provide access to user in order to type the query. The first one is to give them a text field in which the user type in the text or the query, and the second one is we give them like a list of content in which they can click on, and then if they click on one list, they will open again another list with respect to the previous list. So this is like a directory. Okay. For web search engine, the query is specified in textual form. Normally, we just can look into the text, but now they are looking at a query based on images, in which we want to find similar images. So we just get the image, and then the system will tell us or will provide us a list of images that is similar to that images. Okay. There is no concrete evidence to say that one or two or three or four words will have a better result. Some people, even myself, sometimes I written the whole sentence or the whole paragraph just to look at is there any text or pages that written similar to what I'm looking at. Okay? But in most cases, we are looking at 1 to 3 words. The short query reflect the standard usage. Normally, if the result do not look relevant, then we have to change the query. So we can expand the query, or we can shorten the query, or we can change the term that we use in order to get a better list. Okay, so just bear in mind that when we change the keyword or the term that we use, it will change the degree of relevancy between the keyword and the document returned to us. Okay, in chapter 3, you will look at how do we measure the distance between the keyword and the document, and then how we can tell the ranking of the document with respect to the keyword. Okay, so now what we are talking is just theory. We say that given a keyword, we will get a list of results, and then based on our knowledge, we will pick or we will click the one that is most relevant to us. Okay. So this search behavior is a demonstration of what we call the orienteering strategy of web search, in which we are getting familiar ourselves with the strategy on how do we search information from the web. Okay. Let's take a look at sample of query specification interface. For Google, we only can type text, but we do have some other search engine. So for example, this Yelp, this is a standard textual query. They provide the search box entry form, but for this one, they allow us to find the term that we want and the location. So that means we want to find, in this example, we want to find McDonald's restaurant near New York. Okay? So, so for this query specification interface, they provide 2 search box entry form. Some may provide like, what do you want to search and when does it happen, and then the location. Okay, so they tell you the what you want to find, and then when does it happen, and then near what location. Okay, so this is zvents.com search. Okay, some interface show a list of query suggestion as the user types the query. So it depends on your profiling. So this is the one that I wanted to show you last time. So if I log in as myself in the browser, So they know that they already have my profile. Okay, so when I type data here, they will suggest a few expanded keyword, which is different when I log out. So this is when I log out, I type in the same thing. So you see, this is more general, this is more specific. So depending on the profile that they have, then they will suggest how do we expand the keyword. Okay. Retrieval result display. Okay, how do we display the result? Okay. So when we display the search result, we could display the whole document or the full paragraph, or we can get a summary or a surrogate. Surrogate refer to the information that summarize the document. So which one is better? Giving the full document or the full paragraph, or we extract the content, the main content of that document and present to the user. So this is another task in which we have to know what is the topic of the document, what is the main content of the document, then we can present to the user. So two ways, full document or a summary of the document. Sometimes the page title is usually shown with the URL in order for us to know what is the page title, and also if we want to click and go to that page, we can click on the URL. Okay. Text summary, this is the snippet containing text extracted from the document. This is another process that sits behind the search engine, in which for all the document retrieved, they will try to summarize them in such a way that not all the document will be presented to the user. So basically, they are looking at the keyword and they will try to copy how the keyword is being used within the context of the document. Okay. Currently, the standard result display is a vertical list of textual summaries. So vertical means top going down. So that means the top one may be more important compared to the bottom one. So this list is sometimes referred to as search engine result page. So how do we display them? You may display the result here, the text result, and at the same time, you display the images, and of course you have the advertisement here, and they also provide related search. So this is depending on the number of hit. So beside rainbow, people also search for rainbow background, rainbow vacuum, rainbow dress up. Okay. So like the Google query on the name of the sport team might retrieve the latest game score. So like if you type Manchester United, so basically they will provide you the link to the Manchester United web page, and also at the same time the latest result that they have. Okay. Okay. When we try to show the result, normally we will capture the keyword, and then based on the keyword, we will look into how do we capture the keyword in context with respect to the paragraph. So contohnya, if you have one paragraph, you will not take all the text in the paragraph, but you will only take one or two sentences that have the keyword, and you will only display that one. But how many sentences, it depends on the algorithm that you implemented or optimized. Some of them just put a segment of that paragraph, some of them showing a few sentences. So the short one, if you have knowledge about the subject, then easier for you to understand. But if you do not have any idea of the topic or the keyword that you are looking at, then the short one will have no benefit to you because you need to read more. Some of them will display 2 or 3 sentences, so that is good because you will understand much easier what is the content of the document. Okay. Okay, some results suggest that it is better to show a full sentence, like I mentioned just now, easier for the reader to read. And then in most cases, they say that the longer results are deemed better than shorter one. But if you have longer sentence or longer result, then you can display like 5 to 6 results on the one page only. But if you manage to summarize them and only take the most important keyword or sentence and display them, then you can display more. So it's a matter of how efficient you want to use the display space that you have. Okay. When you type mass, so it could refer to anything. So maybe you could you could use mass, but if you get not relevant document, so maybe you have to change to mass airline system. So the search engine know that you are basically looking at the airline system mass and not the other mass. Yeah. Okay, the other kind of document information can be usefully shown in the search result page. So for example, like this is your main result. So only 3, but you could also look at this one. So these are the additional information that you get. For some company, they will build their own database because for the fact that they use different text or term in order to search or store. So what they have in the database, they will index the database according to the term that they use. So this is biotext. So most of the term used here related to biology. Okay. Okay. Besides that, we could also display the figure at the same time that associated with the document. So beside the abstract, the full text, so we could also display the page that we have, the images that we have in that document. So for this one, they implemented this one especially for the research paper in which we can view the text and the images at the same time. But nowadays, if you go to Scopus publisher or scientific publisher, they all have this in which they allow you to see the text and also the images at the same time, stored in a separate location on the same page. Okay. So now let's take a look at the query reformulation. So this is straightforward. Query reformulation is a key user behavior during web search in which one of the search activity is to develop predictive model of query reformulation during web searching. So as we know that different people will have different perception. Okay, so if I ask you, I want you to type in the text what come after the word that I will say. Okay, so for example, if I say kota, so you type what is the next word that you have in mind. So some people type Kota Kinabalu, sometimes people type Kota Tinggi. Okay, so I will look into the text. Okay, the term given here is artificial. So what come after that in your mind? Artificial. Why do you say intelligent? Most common? Okay lah. Next one. What do you have in mind if I say cake? Cake. C-A-K-E. Okay, so some of you state shop, recipe, apa lagi? Birthday, secret recipe, decoration, food, cake. So when you heard me stating cake, so your brain will automatically think of this term. Okay, so what they want to do is they want to build a system that will think like us. So if I type cake, so the system will automatically build a list that what you have listed here, like cake decorating, cake shop near me, cake chocolate, and cake birthday decoration, and so on. Okay? So this is human being stating what come next. So what we do in information retrieval is how do we build a system that will suggest the same thing, but it will be based on what they learned before. Okay, so that is very interesting topic in which if I type something, then the system will suggest the next term, depending on the profile of us. Okay, so that's what we say query reformulation. Okay. There are tools to help user reformulate their query. So one technique consists of showing the term like I show you just now. So this is what we call automatic query reformulation, in which we suggest the list. Okay? So we suggest the list to the user. Okay? So the whole idea is we want to expand the term that's used by the user. Okay? In some studies, they say that 8% of queries were generated from the term suggestion. That means 8% daripada query yang kena generate tu come from query expansion ataupun di automatic query expansion. And 6% of users who were exposed to some term suggestion will likely to click on them. So somehow it will help people in trying to get a more specific and focused item rather than general. Okay. So some query term suggestion are based on the entire search session. So what happened here is that when you type in your query, so they will keep track what was your query in the past 3 times or 5 times. So they know that what is you trying to find. So based on the history of the keyword that you are keying in at the same session, they will build your short-term profile. Okay. Other are based on behavior of other users who have issued the same or similar queries. So this one is more into number of hit. Okay? Number of hit. So when most people type this, so they also suggest this because the same people, different people use the same term in order to describe what they want to search. Okay. And how do the system determine what you want next? So how they know that they are giving you relevant document? So this has to do with the relevant feedback. So this is how do the system know that you say the first or the third or the fifth document are important. So they look at where you click. So if you're given 10 document and you only click the first and the third document, so the computer will keep track your movement, and they will say that the first and the third document are relevant to your query. So this one is the system explicitly determine your feedback based on what you click. Nowadays, they're also looking at eye movement in order to determine whether you are looking at a certain document or certain list that is considered relevant to your query. Okay, so we will look into this one in chapter 4, I think. So this has to do is how does the system capture which document is important with respect to the query that you type in. Okay. So now, how do we organize the result that we have? Given that we have a few documents, so how do we organize them? So we can use the clustering or the category system, in which we categorize the document based on certain topic or based on the content. So similar to this clustering. So the perbezaan is that for the category, we have the initial label, so we can categorize them. But for the clustering, we do not have label, but we group them into cluster. So depending on the topic that we have, so this say cluster number 1. So this is cluster number 2. So all the documents that have similar content will be grouped as one cluster, but they do not have a very specific topic. Comparing to the category, we have a predefined label. So the predefined label will be used to categorize the document. Okay. So we do have a technique on how do we categorize them, and we also have technique how to cluster them. So in this course, you will learn how to categorize or classify a text document based on a predefined label. And you also will study at how do you perform the clustering given a set of documents. So these two you will study also in, I believe, in lecture number 9 and 10. The most common use category structure are flat or hierarchical or faceted category. So flat category are simply list of topic or subject. So you'll be given in a list. They can be used for grouping, filtering, and sorting. So most websites organize the information into general categories. Some experimental web search engine automatically organize results into flat category. Okay, so this is in directory format because we have hierarchical. This one is just in a group only. Mungkin ada contoh next one. This is what we call in directory. Okay, so you will be given a list of content. So your access to the document is based on here. You can click on the section, subsection, and then they will go to that subsection. Okay, and they will also this. If you click on the image, they will also give you the photo. So this is hierarchical. Hierarchy can also be effective in the presentation of such result. So Superbook is one of them last time. Okay. Another way is to represent them in the using the faceted metadata. So unlike the flat category, this faceted metadata allow the assignment of multiple categories to a single item. So for example, like this, so we can organize them based on images, or we can organize them based on text. Okay. So each category corresponds to a different facet, dimension, or feature type. So we have a collection of features here. So this is based on location, this is based on the object, this is based on the places, and so on. This one grouped by media. So we have different collection depending on the features that we use. Okay, like I mentioned just now, clustering refer to the grouping of item according to some measure of similarity. So there is no predefined label. So basically we are trying to cluster them only. So for example, like this, we have cluster of Jaguar car or Mac Jaguar and so on. So depending on the content of the document, we will cluster them. Okay. This is another example, cluster output on the query Senate from clusty.com. So the results are here. Okay. Here. Senate committee and then votes and so on. Okay. So the last one, how do we visualize the search interface? So we have the following primary ways on how do we visualize them. So the first one is Boolean syntax. The second one is query terms. The third one is relationship among words and document. And last one is text mining. Okay. So the first one is Boolean syntax. So Boolean syntax, they use the Venn diagram in order to visualize the document that we have with respect to the query. So if you look at this one, so they say that the content of this is on the language, the content of this is more on the refinement. So if there are some overlapping here, this is query, this is Boolean, and so on. So this one indicate that the set of document that we have can be visualized based on the content, and we could have an overlapping here. So we use the Boolean syntax in order to visualize how many group we have and is there any overlapping between the grouping or not. So this is sample of them. So this is the application called Visual Query. Okay. We also have this tiles bar. So the tiles bar here. So this is the keyword that we use. Okay. And for each keyword that we use, they tell you where is in that document that consists of the keyword here. So notice that the keywords research mostly used in this document, and that document, depending on this color. Okay. This is similar to the previous one, but this one they use different color only. So this one use blue, red, yellow, and green. So from here we can visualize that this one use less the first three keyword, and most of them use the green one. Okay. So the whole idea is we want to visualize the content of the document based on this tiles bar color. Okay. Okay, the next one is the word and document relationship. We could use this one. We say that, okay, all these three documents, they are interrelated based on this keyword. So this knowledge representation keyword has something to do with this document and that document. Okay, so you will study on how do you measure the distance between one keyword to that document lah. So contohnya macam ni, navigation kan. I give you the word navigation and then you tell me what is the distance between the word and the document. So contohnya this is 1.5, this is 1.6, this is 2.0. So we can say that this is similar, almost the nearest distance to the keyword. So this is rank number 1, rank number 2, rank number 3. Okay. The info sky describe your document like a planet. So the more dense is the color, that means the more document we have there. And they describe, the text here describe the text here describe the keyword that describe that area. Okay. So this is like you perform a clustering and then you visualize them and then you perform the topic modeling in which they will extract the most common keyword used in that group of document. Some have implemented this one, the Xfind visualization island, because they looks like island. So like for example, the keyword webmaster here telling you that the whole set of document here talking about webmaster. And then this area is more dense, saying that this area they are talking about proceeding. Okay, and this is similar to the previous one, Visual WordNet. So they're telling you that script and handwriting are closely related to each other. And then hired man and hired hand are closely related to each other. So this is a very famous tools that we can use in order to measure the distance between two words. And last one is the text mining. So in the text mining, they show you the word tree. So the word tree, they just telling you that, okay, from one word, how do I expand the sentence? So basically, all of this belong to one set of document, and then the system will extract every sentence that I have here and then form the tree. Okay? So this is what we call the word tree visualization based on the text that given. This is another example. They run what we call that a crawler, and then they will summarize what is the famous name that they have. So we can look at here babynamewizard.com. They have all the data that they crawl on the web, and they come up with this.